In this video, we'll install the Kali Linux that we're going to use in our fall semester. We'll be installing Kali Linux 2020.2. So use a virtualization tool like VirtualBox, Hyper-V, Fusion, something like that, and create a new virtual machine. I'm using Hyper-V for this video. Most of them will have a wizard that will ask for the virtual machine name. I'm going to name it Security and then Kali. So all the virtual machines I'm going to create for this class, I'm going to start them with the word security so we can keep them separate from other courses that are being taught. I'll pick generation 2. So it has the UEFI based firmware. The amount of memory. Since this is not a Windows product, I'll uncheck the dynamic memory and we will use 2048. We want to use actual memory sizes and not rounded. We don't want to put 2000 there. So let's go next. We'll connect it to our default switch or bridged connection. The hard disk, 60 gigabytes, should be suffice for us to get through this semester. We'll install the operating system. The link for the ISO image was in your Canvas shell under week 1 and week 2 for Kali Linux. So highlight that. Here's a summary. So whichever virtual machine tool that you're using, you should have very similar configuration set up. I will finish. With Hyper-V, I'm going to have to go to Settings, and I'm going to have to disable Secure Boot since this is not a Windows install that we are doing. Once Secure Boot is disabled, I can go ahead and start up. I'll hit enter on the graphical install. And don't worry about the warnings at the bottom of the screen. After a few seconds, it'll come up, ask you for a language. We'll pick English as the default. United States is the country code. English is the key map again. For the host name, we will add a number. If you're just doing this at home, you don't have to add anything. If you're doing this on your classroom computer, look at your computer number and enter the computer number at the end of Kali. The domain name, we'll just do local.domain as a generic and hit continue. The user account name, we'll just use student. And for the account name itself, keep it the same, student. Password, let's just use a very simple pass1234. Very, very bad passwords in all the dictionaries, but this is just for lab purposes. Pick your time zone. We're central here. We are going to use the entire disk, the default option at the top. We'll select our disk, should be around 60 gigabytes. And this is just for lab. We'll do very simple and use the default option at the top, one partition. So we'll go ahead and finish partitioning and write changes to disk. We'll hit continue. At this point, we do have to make a change and select yes, otherwise it will cancel out our changes. So now when we hit continue, it will format the drive and start installing the base tools. After the base tools are installed, it will ask us for additional software to install. Once the base system finishes installing, it comes up and asks us for a proxy. We don't use a proxy here at the college, so I'll hit continue. It'll auto-configure and try to find the best internet site for downloading patches. Depending on your internet speed, this could take some time. Once it finishes downloading and unpacking the extra features, we're going to select one additional option. We'll use the large default selection plus additional tools at the bottom. And then we'll continue. It will now scan the CD-ROM and any internet repositories that it needs to install the additional software and run through the installation process. This can take an extended amount of time. So I'm going to pause. I've already paused a few times during some of these progress bars to speed this video along. So I will come back in a few minutes after this progresses through the installation of the packages. Once this installation is finished, we'll just get a continue screen and it will reboot into the Kali Linux system. It'll either automatically boot or you can hit enter to speed the boot process along. We can then log in with student and pass 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can get to your desktop. So this time your system is fully installed. Don't play with any of the tools yet. We will get to those later. And we will install a Windows 10 machine to have something to target and do some information gathering on. So for now, I'm just going to power off the machine. And the next video will be doing just a quick install of Windows 10 and disabling its ability to do Windows updates, also disabling the firewall. So we have just a more open area for security study.